It says I'm live. Let's see if I got everything set up here. No, I do not want to load up Apple software. Hey guys, how you doing? Trying to get everything set up last minute. I this morning when I woke up, my alarm was going off. I always use my Alexa for my alarm clock, and it was going off. So when I always say, Alexa, stop, and she's like, I don't understand at the moment. And that was a connection issue. So I had to restart the internet. And so I came out here, started the computer. And so just waiting for everything to kind of catch up. How you doing, Jeff? Thank you for joining.
Hey, Jimmy, how's it going?
Doing good. We're already live.
Awesome.
See if I can pop out chat here. I just kind of rushed into this. I didn't even share I shared the link earlier for the live stream. So let's see. There's the chat. BV3D, how you doing? Thank you for joining.
He's been lingering in the background for a little while.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
So how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you? How are you doing? You got your authentic Jay's 2 cents shirt on there.
You know,
Rocking the Jay's 2 cents.
You know, it's advertised as it boosts your sex appeal. So I figured I'd wear this tonight, and so after it, I'm like, hey Beth, I got the authentic Jay's 2 cents shirt on. How about it?
You better hope it's more than just the shirt, my friend.
I know, because as soon as I take the shirt off, it'll be like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Holy cow, it's a naked Jimmy.
Oh,
what was going on with your modem and your thing? Was we were coming on live, you were talking about it with Alexa. You have everything set up to control everything through Alexa?
Well, I just use Alexa for my alarm clock in the morning.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then so I knew this morning there was a connection problem. So on the way out, I went to the Xfinity app and I said to restart the modem, which usually will send a signal. But thinking back on it, if it wasn't connected to the internet, it wouldn't have got the signal to reset. So I had to come home and do it the old-fashioned way and unplug it and plug it back in.
Yeah, that's usually the solution. Just turn it on and turn it off again.
Yeah, that's pretty much fixes everything.
It does. even on the Mac, it does.
I used to call the Sears help desk and say, hey, I've got a problem with this register. I got a problem with this computer. I got this problem, that problem. No matter what I would call about, it always was the same solution. Thank you for calling the help desk. How may I be helping you today? I'm like, I need to find out why the register wants to just lock up. Well, have you powered it off and powered it back on yet? I'm like, no, I haven't. Okay, please power off. I powered it off. Now leave it for 1 minute. Sir, is it still off? Yes, it's still off. Okay, you must wait 1 minute. 1 minute later. Okay, it's been 1 minute. Now, is it still off? Yes, it is. Okay, please turn it back on. So I turn it back on. Did it boot up? Yes, it did. Okay, is it working correctly? Yes, it's working correctly. Okay, I'm going to close your help ticket right now. Thank you for calling Sears. Have a great day. Uh-oh, you froze up on me.
Did I?
Yeah, is it you or is it me? That's the question.
Oh, yeah, look at that. I'm just a green screen there, huh?
Yeah,
is it on back now or no?
I don't see you. All I see is the little picture down below. I see you on that, but you're froze up. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you are. I hear you, but I don't see you.
Am I back?
I'm scared.
Am I back online? Is it me or is it just an icon again?
All I see is your icon down in the corner.
Let me log back out. Let me log out and log back in because I was trying to mess with the camera.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay. No, I'm scared. Okay. Oh goodness, I guess I should go there and tweet that we're live, huh? There you are.
There I am.
There's that beautiful Jeff.
with no hair now.
Where's Heather at?
She's here. She's doing a
I'm
cross
here.
stitch. Say hi, Heather.
Hi, Jimmy.
Hi Heather, how you doing?
I'm good.
She's always working. She's doing a cross stitch and making sure that we don't cross that line.
Is she still painting your models and stuff?
Not as much as before. There was a kind of a backlog of models to print, and I think we both kind of pittered out on the whole model painting of the models after the 365. There's a few of them she's painted recently, but nothing. Working on a really big cross stitch thing, and that's pretty involved. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's been working on that for a while.
Do you have one of those painted models that she did? Do you have one of those close by to show off?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'll show you the best one, on my opinion.
Oh, sweet. Hey, Calvin, how you doing?
What you got in that red Solo cup, Jimmy?
What's that?
What you got in that red Solo cup?
Yeah, what do you got stashed in that red Solo cup?
Some great Kool-Aid.
Great
Yeah,
Kool-Aid,
okay.
yeah. I don't know if you should be able to see this. This is the Paddington that was 3D printed, and then she did all the finishing work on this afterwards.
That is awesome.
This is one of my favorites because it looks like it belongs on the shelf at the Disney store.
It does. I mean, that's perfect.
I mean, even on the like the suitcase, you know, I mean, even there's lettering on there and stuff. There's the little marmalade sandwich, right?
Orange marmalade.
Orange marmalade sandwich underneath the hat. I mean,
That's awesome.
this is awesome. This is one of my favorite pieces. I'm so careful with it because, you know, it's PLA. I'm afraid I'm going to drop it. I'm putting it aside. But yeah, that's one of my favorites. There's a couple of them.
If
They're
Beth
lingering in the background and stuff.
If Beth sees the stream, she's going to end up wanting one of those.
Yeah, when Anna and Gordon were here from G Create, there's a black and white cat that we use for a doorstop. You saw, I'm sure you remember. I don't know if you remember it. Yeah, it's on the floor for a doorstop. It was part of the 365 project. And as soon as Anna walked in the door, she's like, I want one of those. So, you know, you really, I always thought in the back of my head, now this would be a, you know, lucrative business. We could paint them and sell them, but they're not our models. So that's not something we would ever do. But, you know, one day if I ever got really good at 3D modeling, that would be a cool thing because she's got some really good paint skills and I'd put it to good use.
That is awesome.
So it looks like the chat's filling up. There's only 3 people watching. Is that all I'm seeing here?
That's all that's watching. I never did get a chance to go to Twitter to say we're live.
No, tweet that out. Maybe it's the, you know, the mass appeal of having me in the room and not Calvin. I know Calvin's in the chat though.
No, it's got to do with me. Like, oh, it's just Jimmy on there. No.
Well, it is a different night though too. Normally, you know, it's a Tuesday night thing and we're on Thursday. So I'm sure you had quite a few of your subscribers that were wondering, you know, what was going on. So you should talk about your little trip. You went to Chicago, did you not?
No, I'm getting ready to in a few weeks.
That's right. You're getting ready to.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Oh, come on. Chicago is awesome.
I've never been on a plane. Never.
The plane is the easy part. Seriously,
this piece will be the hard part.
my first plane ride was to Orlando from Chicago, and I was petrified on the way there, and on the way back, I fell asleep. As soon as we got on the plane, I fell asleep. And ever since then, I have never been awake during air travel. Just go to sleep. Just get on the plane, get comfortable, grab a pillow, shut the light off, put some headphones on, and go to sleep. The takeoff may wake you up, but once you're up in the air, just sleep it off.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm a horrible travel companion if we're on a plane and in a car too. If I'm not driving, yeah, Heather's shaking her head. Yeah, if I'm not driving, I'm the one that falls asleep in the passenger seat. I'm a horrible travel companion.
So what would you like to talk about tonight?
Well, I know you wanted to talk about the whole open source thingy.
I wanted to, but we kind of came to the consensus that that would not be a bad idea.
Yeah, we should probably let that water simmer for a little while before we throw anything in there.
It's simmered pretty good on Twitter. My goodness.
Yeah, I just like with the Yan printer, I stay away from all the drama. I just want to print. You know, I think I understand I come from a graphic design background where Creative Commons was a huge debate at the agency I worked for 12 years. I tried to convince them that Creative Commons was the way to go. Use what other people have done, give them credit, but use it properly. And they never wanted to. They were too scared. And now we have the same issue with GPL and all this other stuff with 3D printers that has now become such a massive issue that even companies are stopping supplying certain brands of printers. I just don't want, honestly, I really don't want to have anything to do with the conversation because I have nothing to add. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, I mean, I have a G-Max, and that's the only printer I really knew through the whole 365 project, and it was open source, and I just assumed everything was going to be that way. I didn't know there was a massive debate going on in the sidelines, but since I honestly don't, I guess I could have an opinion if I did some more reading, but I don't have an opinion because I purposely avoided it because it'll resolve itself. I guess that's kind of the simplest way of saying it is I just let it resolve itself. I don't want to have any part of it.
I completely agree because like when I first got into 3D printing, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff.
Neither did I.
None of this was a issue except for, I mean, as far as in the mainstream, it wasn't an issue until in the last probably 6 months or so. Up until that point, you just never gave it any thought. You know, you were looking for a good 3D printer for the lowest price possible. And people were always asking, you know, which 3D printer should I get? You know, what do you think of this one? What do you think of that one? And finally you get to the point to where you can start, you know, testing 3D printers. And suddenly it's like, now you're having to watch what 3D printer you open up because somebody's going to get mad.
Exactly.
And I mean, I agree as far as the standpoint of if it's open source, you know, they need to respect that. But at the same time, it's like Christmas, you know, you open the box, you're not going to be like, oh my God, it's one of those. Somebody gives you a gift, you're opening it up, it's like, yay!
A Land Rover. I wanted the Land Rover SE. I'm not driving this. You know,
this Land Rover has contentious products inside this one. I want the other Land Rover that was made in a certain area. They didn't use that part.
Most of your consumers who are buying stuff off the shelf. Now, granted, there's such a big community behind the 3D printer software, hardware, kind of keeping it rep, keeping it home, you know, the home grassroots type of thing. That's great, but if we really wanted to expand out into the world, we really just kind of have to let that stuff resolve itself and let these guys with proprietary systems have their day. I mean, we've been in this thing for like 3 years now, almost 3 years now. And the whole proprietary thing is something we avoided because we have filament from all these different companies and I want to be able to use whatever I want. So if it said I had to use their filament, I never gave it a second look. Or if I had to use their something, but it wasn't down to the software that runs it though. See, that's the thing. It's like everybody's still talking about how brand A prints the best in the world, but don't buy it. You know, it's like, I just don't want to have any, I just really don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm happy with I'm happy with the printers I have. If somebody wants to send me something that's not open source or whatever, I'll just review it as it is. We have 2 of them sitting in a closet we won't use because they're really not that great. And it's not because they didn't build a good printer. It's just because they didn't, in my opinion, they didn't follow the model that everybody else is using for building a non-open source printer. And that's the Panospace. It's a great printer. It works, but it's got its own environment. Now I can use my own filament, but it doesn't use G code to print. It uses its own proprietary sliced files. And getting a file from Simplify 3D or Cura or some other place, no. And I see you, Chris. Who's got some tomatoes to throw?
Chris is the one saying, "Don't you guys even start. Don't do it. Don't do it. I warned you." Now he's ready to throw the tomatoes at us.
So that's why I didn't really want to talk about it, because I just don't have a solid opinion that would mean anything to the community, because I don't know enough about it. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Calvin probably would give you, some good debate, because I know he's pretty close to it, and I know Chris is pretty close to it, but I just don't. And I think everybody wants to avoid it. So
we could have somebody that actually knows what they're talking about as far as software going to. Speaking of software, how's your A10?
Get me.
You're like. Oh, you left me?
You mean this?
Yeah, how's it going?
This one? This guy right here?
Yeah, that guy.
This? Yeah, it's not going.
You still haven't got it unbricked?
Chris is sending a package.
Let's just say there was a software patch created. I was offered the same software package, but you know me, I don't like updating software. It was one of those things of, thank you. And, eventually I'll get around to it someday.
Someday.
Some people are more gung-ho than others, and Jeff's one of those, let's do this thing.
Well, it was because of one thing, because Chris said he could name the printer. And I wanted it to say something when I turned it on. So I was like, yeah, I'll take that firmware, whatever you got. So
what did you want to say?
I wanted it to come up as Rogue One, from like Star Wars. So when I open it up, it says, Rogue One ready, just like in the movie. So that was my reasoning. That's 100% my reasoning.
I
wanted all the updates that Chris did.
Do you remember what I was going to name mine? I forget.
No, I don't.
It was something nasty. I forget what it was.
Let's go back to Twitter and find out.
Yeah, let's go back on there. Let's see. What was I going to call it? I don't think it was. I forget. Let's see.
Is G-Tech watching?
They might. They'll probably catch on a rerun. Why?
I've been meaning to ask you that fireball thing that you have when you're printing on your time lapses and stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about that thing. What is it going to do? Does it detect heat?
Okay. So located right around there, you see where it looks like some cannon fuse?
Oh.
So the way this is set up, if you place it near something that's prone to catching fire or may catch fire and you're wanting to protect the area around it, you place it next to it. If for any reason it gets hot enough to where that fuse catches, it goes boom, and it blows fire retardant that's on the inside. It's a dry chemical fire retardant, same as what you have in a fire extinguisher.
Right.
Blows it all over. It's got a little charge on the inside. It just goes boom.
Have you ever tried one just to see what it looks like?
No, and the reason why I bought 2 of these is because me and Calvin were supposed to take and test one.
Well, I want to see that. Where's the slow-mo footage of that thing going off?
That's the whole reason why I use this. Now there's an actual brand. I forget what the name of the brand is. There's one I think it's called Red Ball or Fireball or something like that. And that one's by a major manufacturer of fire extinguishers and stuff and such. And that's what it's known for. Is you can place it over if you have barrels or something like that of say oil or whatever, it can take and extinguish a blaze should it start.
Oh, that's
if you have electrical equipment or something like that, you place it close to it and it'll blow and take care of it.
What do those run?
I believe this one was like $20 or $25. Oh no, I take it back. It's $35.
That's not bad. I mean, it's a lifesaver. So
Yeah, I just mainly just as an insurance policy, make me feel a little bit better. I try to keep one near the electronics of the printer, just so if it should catch for any reason at all, it might not burn the place down.
right. It's just going to cover everything in fire retardant too.
Pretty much. It'll probably kill my computer, kill the monitor, kill the cameras. I'll pretty much be out of business, but maybe the building won't burn down.
The building won't burn down. Who knows? It may even save the print because you can do the power resume and turn it right back on again.
Yeah, just power it off, power it back on.
Just power it up, power it back on again. Exactly. You fix everything. No, so
I gotta lock my camera. For some reason, my camera, the white balance, is wanting to just go nuts today, and I don't understand why it's doing this.
yeah, it's flashing red.
Yeah, it has to do with all the colors behind me, I think.
Yeah, that's why mine gets all flashed out too. It catches the reds in the background.
So I took and I
I wore a red shirt to try and prevent that.
okay, there we go. There's my camera.
I'm on the red shirt.
Now let's see here. I'm gonna go custom, advanced.
Hey, Chris has got a good question. If one of those fireballs explodes, will it set off the other fireballs if it's somewhere near it?
That is a good question. I honestly don't know.
So you could like set up a whole bunch of them in there and just completely coat your office in fire retardant.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let me get on Amazon and order a dozen of those.
Okay. It was the white balance. Let's see.
Oh, there you go. Nice, crispy.
Retro right here, huh?
Is this fire footage?
Tell me when it looks about right. About there?
Yeah, you're still running a little pink.
How about, is it getting better?
That's probably it's the Logitech camera. It's gonna keep flashing out. If you turn off the auto gain.
Yeah, I just hit the auto, and then I'm going to kill the auto right there. How's that look?
That's a little bit better. You're still a little bit pink, but it's not flashing.
Okay, as long as it's not flashing, that's what it. Because every time I see this, and either this, now I forgot to turn off the stupid zoom and all that. Oh my goodness, Heather's over there laughing at me, isn't she? Heather's over there, noob.
Noob.
Oh goodness. Let's see. Okay. Ah, there's the autofocus.
There you go.
Now it shouldn't do it.
Now you should be fine. So
yeah, now it's fine now.
grab something off the shelf behind you and see if it switches the focus. Yep, you're good. Yep, you're good. Now that's an extreme close-up. You're good.
Oh goodness.
So looks like there's some people chatting here. Ewan Todd says his heater cartridge broke, and then one of the bearings is shot, and he's run out of zip ties. Effing typical.
There's always duct tape.
Yeah, you can get packs of zip ties at Walmart. They make them in colors too.
Is he here in the United States? I don't think I've ever asked.
I don't think so.
BV3D says close up of Jimmy's balls.
His atomic fireballs.
And I got 2 of them.
TMI, Jimmy. TMI.
Yeah, Chris says got nylon, print your own zip ties. The files are up on Thingiverse. Now it's 4 in the morning where Ewan's at.
Oh wow. England, huh?
Yeah.
He has the MK3?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Actually, I probably do. Let me look around.
You might have a box with those in there. Did you see any of the release videos today from Prusa?
No, I didn't.
No, Prusa Research posted up 2 videos talking about the new multi-material unit, showing you how it works and stuff. And I think it's really cool. My only question is it's putting a lot of weight on that upright piece. Like on the TiVo behind you, you have the LCD and a couple of brackets that weighs absolutely nothing.
Right.
Think about a bunch of motors, a bunch of plastic, and a bunch of bearings, and a bunch of stuff moving around and moving, swaying the top of that. That's my only concern. My minor concern is, where do the clippings go when it clips? So there's like a little blade that comes across and cuts the tip off and feeds it down in for the next color. But where do those little pieces fall? So if you're doing like a 28 color transition model, where are all those little chunks of filament going? But other than that, it's really cool. I thought it was really genius. I think it's cool stuff. So.
Well, see, the other thing too is whenever you have a frame like this, you've got the 2040 or 4040 or 2020, whatever it is, extrusion.
Yeah.
The frame on the Prusas are just the 5 or 6 millimeter thick aluminum.
I think it's 6 millimeter, but it's powder coated too, is it not?
Yeah, it's powder coated, but what I'm getting at is the way it's fastened to everything. It's going to have a little bit of a wiggle to it. That's
right.
Kind of affect when it comes to Z wobble or something like that, I would imagine, wouldn't it?
That's my concern. I barely use the filament holder on the G-Max up on top with the full roll, because especially if I'm doing something with a lot of retraction and movement, I'm afraid it's going to start swaying. Chris warned me of that with the printers. So like even with the A10 and the A30, I would do off-board filament with those. I just print up a couple more sleds and use those instead.
Actually, on the A10, I have been using the spool holder on top.
Yeah,
it's actually been doing pretty good because it pulls from the side, so it's not pulling from front or back. So because it pulls from the side, it seems like it does just fine.
Sorry, Matt. No, I think that is optimal, because it brings it right down to where that filament sensor would be if they included it on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that there's 2 videos that are back to back. One of them's kind of an overview, and the other one I think is just more about how it's set up. But they were both released at the same time, and I don't know, they were, like I said, they were pretty interesting. And just being able to, some of the things he's come up with, which is like the color wipe is in the infill, which is good. So that's pretty smart. But again, you're using the Prusa slicer. You're not using Simplify 3D to do this.
Yeah.
That's like with the Mosaic, with the Palette 2, you use their software to generate all your G code, and then you take that and move it on over to your printer. So these guys are, unless Simplify 3D comes out with some sort of plugin to start doing multiple materials that use those suite of tools that both of these systems are going to be using, because they're going to dominate. That's the next thing. They're dominating the market. The Palette 2, as soon as that thing starts shipping, the social media Twitter sphere is going to be flooded with people, because hundreds of people pre-ordered that thing. Thousands of people pre-ordered that thing. So
how much is that going for?
I think it was $499 for the basic unit, and then $599. I think it's under $600 for the best unit.
And how many colors does the Palette 2 go for? I mean, is it
it's 4 colors. But I mean, you can also, swap out a color at one point, or see, my use would be for long prints. You would load 2 slots with 2 of the same filament, and maybe use slot number 3 for dissolvable if I'm using support. To me, I'm still a little leery until they really perfect that purge and infill somehow in there, because I think with the new Palette Plus, you have that little loop that goes on inside there, and it fuses the ends of the filament, which reduces the amount of purge block. So you're going to go right from color to color, but you still have a certain amount that's going to be in the heater core and within the nozzle that has to be removed. So depending on the model, it should go in the infill. But we'll see how it all pans out. I'm anxious to see Canvas working. I'm anxious to see these two machines side by side kind of going at it in the multi-material world, because no one else has got anything that's as cool as, I mean, what is that, the Creality X with the Y nozzle?
You said the C word.
Oh my God, I said the C word. It's a bad word. So anyway, moving back over to the Palette Plus,
The P word.
There's nobody else really competing in the market right now that I've noticed, and I like to watch as much content and consume as many newsletters as I can on a daily basis to see what's next for 3D printing, because this is interesting to me, but I don't want to plateau and get bored. That's my biggest concern. You can have 100 printers printing all kinds of cool stuff, but it's just probably just to make content at that point and not be interesting again. You know, that's why I like Devin's stuff, because he's always doing something different. You know, he doesn't just take it for granted. Same with Angus, with all those mathematical spheres and cubes that he's printing. That stuff is way beyond my comprehension, but
yeah,
man, he is smart. So
he is one smart cookie.
He is super smart. All that stuff. He's quoting theories from mathematicians from like 1700 and stuff. It's like, okay, I'm going to melt. My brain's going to melt if I watch any more of your video. I'll just thumbs up and be on with it. No, I'm serious, because he's too smart. It's like, same with Devin when he does his crazy projects. It's like you get lost in his narration and you just like, I have no idea what you just did, but that was cool.
Now, on that MMU, the multi material one from Prusa, is that one compatible with other printers or just with his printer?
As far as what I can tell, you can use it on a Prusa style printer, but I would think it's probably really only set up for his systems.
That's what I was wondering. And where the palette is going to be, pretty much you can use it with any printer.
It can go on any printer.
Now, is there going to be an issue when it comes to Bowden tubes?
No, because it uses a single tube coming out. So, and if you wanted to go hog wild and replace those with those Capricorn tubes, you know. But to me, it's from what I saw in Joel's video, and then I watched Tested release their video 2 hours, 3 hours later, you can just basically bolt this thing on the side of any printer and feed the tube in, and you're printing multicolor, multi-material. So whereas the Prusa unit's designed for his printer, who knows, maybe somebody will hack it. You know, you just got to go to a couple of RepRap festivals. Somebody will put that thing on something else. I'd like to see it on a Robo R2.
I don't know about that one.
As long as we bring our stylus with us, we should be okay. No, I like the Joseph's idea, but it is pretty proprietary. But he does sell a lot of printers.
He does. He sells a lot of printers, and they are very good printers. Don't get me wrong; they're very good.
Yeah, just like any single 3D printer out there, when they work good, they work excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's got some issues. I mean, it's, you know, these are built by humans. They're not assembled in a factory somewhere by robots. These are all still assembled by humans. Every video tour of any kind of factory I've ever seen, it's guys just like you and me putting these together.
Now, on whenever the MK2 came out, did they have as many issues with the boards and stuff on the MK2 as they did with the MK3?
Not that I saw. It's just seems to be the last printer that he's put out has had the most, I think, publicized issues, because you have to remember he's probably sold 3 times as many.
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna get that. You know, you got a 1 in 10 fail rate. When I was printing T-shirts was acceptable, or a 1 in a dozen was an acceptable rate. So if you're putting out 10,000 printers, what's an acceptable rate of failure? Because they're not all going to be perfect. And I saw 3D Maker Noob Joe's tour of the factory. It's just a bunch of guys like you and me putting these things together. So mohawks, big ear piercings, and headphones, just like you and me.
Just like you and me. By the way, what happened to your mohawk?
When I got my haircut, I wanted it to be a little longer on the top, but the the lady from Jersey had other ideas with my hair.
She's like, you hippie from California, I'm gonna fix you.
She's like, are you a 2 or a 3 with the clipper size? I said 2, and I saw her grab the 1. I'm like, hey, 2.
Straight to the top.
Yeah.
She did to you what we wish we could do to Calvin.
Exactly. Chris says that given that everything Prusa does is open source, there is no reason why an enterprising person couldn't make it work on a different printer. So I agree. Someone could get that to work. I mean, if you have a Prusa style printer, and there was, what did we find out? There was 30 plus clones of the Prusa printer out there on Amazon alone. Reading that guy's article about the Kodama thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 30 or 40 Prusa clones out there, so I'm sure you could snap one of them on there.
Oh yeah.
Billy, you want to come on the live stream? The older child is lurking in the doorway. I'll turn the camera. No, that's not happening.
Doesn't want to come on?
No. Let's stay at the door. I'll turn the camera. She's lurking at the door. BV3D says, I no longer have my Ed Grimley.
What's that?
BV3D said, I no longer have my Ed Grimley haircut.
Oh.
You know, that was one of the comments I got on one of my videos. It said, the coolest thing in this guy's life is his hair. Like, that was like the weirdest comment ever. I'm like, it's really not that cool. It's his hair.
So does Heather want to come on to this live stream?
No, not happening. She's going to do the dishes.
She doesn't want to come in front of the camera?
Come on, Lily, come on in. Oh, she's tempted.
Come on.
Tempted.
We don't bite hard.
People. Yeah. Rover's in here. Yeah. It's creeping in. See, there's the little window down there. So that's the preview. So when I'm talking, that's a 30-second delay over there. So, but down here is the live stream right here.
I'm the little picture down there, and then I go to the big picture, and then back to the little picture. And
oh, I have it set up for you're just the big picture, Jimmy. I don't want to see my face that big. I turned that feature off a long time ago.
I have tried turning it at one point, and then it locks it up on the stream, so I just quit playing with it.
Yeah, you got to do it before you go live.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you got to, when you first set up when you do the agree to the terms and conditions and you hit OK, then go up and hit your little settings thing and you can turn it off so it doesn't do the switch. Because I tried to adjust it during a live stream and it just completely locked up the stream.
Yeah.
That's whatever with Google Hangouts.
I just leave it alone. I don't know a whole lot about it. It works, so.
So who else is in here? Chat says, how do you replace a heating block?
Depends on what setup you've got.
Yeah, exactly.
Usually if you remove the nozzle, that usually loosens everything up.
Yeah. Once you take out the nozzle, you've got that whole part in your hand and you can do whatever you need with it. Yeah. I mean, even on the G-Max, I've had to disassemble it 4 or 5 times, the nozzle, just to make sure it was clean and pull out an occasional clog. If I don't print on it for a while, it seems like the PLA or whatever I'm printing with undergoes a chemical change and even gets even more harder, clogs it even worse. Because I can heat it up to 240 and it'll still be clogged. There'll still be a sliver of something in there.
I had that issue with this A10 recently. I did a whole bunch of prints. I mean, I did a lot of different prints. And I kept changing colors of filament because I'd run out of one, I'd switch over to another. And every time I do a switch, there would be a clog. Yep. And finally, that last time, it got to the point where I couldn't push it through, no matter what I did. I even took there's a piano wire that came with it. Yeah, yeah. Hooked that up in there, and it would do a little bit, and then it'd lock up again. Took it all apart, tried to figure it all out, even put a new nozzle on it, still had the issue. Turned out the Teflon tube, the way it runs all the way through the hot end, all the way into the heating block, and touches the nozzle.
So it melted.
Yeah, so what happened is the Teflon tube had expanded on the inside to the point where the filament didn't want to go pass through the tube.
Right.
And I had to cut off about that much of the tube in order for it to work right.
Well, it's probably going to keep doing that. You should probably just switch to those Capricorn tubes because they're what, high temperature, right?
That's what I was going to ask you. What is the story with those?
As far as I can tell, they seem to just be a more high temperature, and there's just they're a slippier, slippier Teflon. The coating inside, yeah.
I learned that one from Joel. Lubricity.
They just seem to slide so much better. The Teflon coating has that oil on the surface that doesn't come off on your fingers, so it makes it super slippery. Plus, it's a little bit more. I think the durometer is like a little heavier. It still bends and it still moves around, but you won't get that issue where, it gets pinched with those couplers. The ones on the G-Tech and the same as on the Yan, they're two-stage. When you push that thing down and push in once, you have to push it in even further to get past it. Because there's there's the mouth of the valve. You have to actually get past it, and that will pinch it. It does pinch it. And if you're using filament that's not in diameter, it's going to go through there and it's going to slowly grab. The Capricorn tubes, from what I understand, are just slippery. They're super slippery. And that seem to be a little bit more higher temperature, over 300 degrees, I think.
Oh, really?
Because I want to get them for the G-Max now that I have the heated bed. And
so does that mean that if I switched over to that on the A10, I could actually run this up hot enough to run ABS and stuff like that?
Yeah, if the nozzle can handle it.
The nozzle can definitely handle it. I believe it can go up to 245. It's just that they don't recommend it because of the Teflon tube.
Yeah, that Teflon tube amount. I would just get a couple meters from Amazon or from open builds and cut off a chunk and use it. Because I know on the A30, I was able to print PET G at 235.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any melt on the Teflon. But I don't want to go any higher. That was my max, because Chris said don't go over 240-ish. So
I've been printing right around the 200, 210 mark. And that's at the 210 is where I was having the issue with we're not talking I was doing a 10-hour print. No. I'm talking the thing printed for 3 weeks straight. I would start a print. I would go to work. I'd come home, start a print, go eat, come home, start a print, go to bed, wake up the next morning, start a print, go to work. And I did that every day for 3 weeks.
How I do it too when I'm doing my reviews, just crank out the prints, and you want to kind of shove as much filament through the hot end as possible, as many meters as you can, because people want to know, hey, how much filament did you consume? So to me, I think it's a good idea to do that, not just print like a couple of small items. I mean, I'm done with my Yan review. I'm just finishing editing on it. But I printed up almost the whole roll that they gave us, plus I used some other filaments, but it doesn't have a big build area. So, I mean, I can keep printing out big, giant cubes, but like on the G-Max or even the G-Techs, you've got a big build space, and people are going to want to know if you used it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's one thing I was very thankful for this printer when it came when it did, is because the stuff I was printing, I was able to print a good portion of it on this printer, the A10, and then left the stuff that I just needed that extra volume for the A30. And I've heard people say, "Oh, well, a 4-inch, you're perfectly fine just getting a print that's 4 inches." Yeah, until you start really getting into 3D printing, you want to print something bigger. And that's when a larger build volume really comes in handy.
Well, not only that, like the smaller build volume, like even the Yan, that's exactly it's 120 square. So something like that's great for making small things. But the first time you see something cool on Thingiverse and you drag it over to Cura and it's like, way outside the print bed, you're going to be like, well, why did I spend $400 on this little printer? When you can get for $400 one that has a 10 by 10 by 12 inch print bed on it. So,
just like the A10. Back when I bought the aluminum i3, the first G-Tech printer, I've spent $330 on that printer, and it did not have the print volume that this printer's got at what, 189? Is it?
Yeah, 189. Yeah, that's what Chris tweeted out. I think today was 189.
Yeah, I mean it's just, and then on top of that, it's 24 volt, which just makes life way easier because everything heats up so much quicker.
Well, the bed heats up twice as fast as the hot end.
Yeah,
I mean, it gets up there like super quick. And I think these are great printers. I mean, that's the thing, and they're open source and proprietary at the same time, and nobody's barking up their tree.
Well, the A10 is completely open because that one's running Marlin.
Yeah, it's running a barely stripped Marlin too.
And then the 830, that's the only one I've got an issue with. And I'll tell you what my issue is. And correct me if I'm wrong in this, if there's something I'm doing wrong. Now, granted, I saw that they use what software was it starts with an S? I forget what they called it. They had some name for it. Oh,
their smart app? Their smart printing app?
No, instead of using Marlin, they use some other one that starts with an S that they wrote. Sungulu or whatever they call it.
Yeah, whatever they call it.
The problem I've got with that printer is a print that takes 3 days, because I had prints that took 3 days that I was printing with that. I would set it up, it would print until 11%, and it would stop on the screen at 11%, but the timer would still go, but the timer was not correct at all.
The timer's never been correct.
And somewhere along the line, it would just decide to pause. And what's great about it is the pause feature allows you to continue the print. But the problem is that with the glass bed that they have, once it cools down,
it releases the model.
Right. It does a great job on that. I mean, an awesome job of releasing the model. Problem is, when it pauses, the bed cools. It doesn't stay hot. So your paused print is released from the bed by the time you come back and find out that it paused. And that's my biggest issue with that printer, and it has to do with the software, the firmware that's in it. And that's the reason I saw somebody talking about switching over to a GT, was it 2560 board?
Yeah, the same one they're running on the smaller one. On the
and then go with Marlin, which I agree with that, honestly.
I don't. There's no. It's not a small footprint like the E180 that has that kind of cool techno industrial look to it that will require a little touchscreen that you would want little fingers around anyway.
Yeah, I say put a dial on that thing and let it go.
It's a workhorse, man. It's designed to print big things. So you want the simplest firmware in there possible just so you can print. You don't need all those other bells and whistles. Now with the E180, like the one behind you, the white one, that's perfect for something like that. That makes it intuitive for anyone to walk up and do it. But you look at the other ones and they're very intimidating to the basic user. I mean, I have 3 printers that are all the same size or all the same style, the RepRap style, and they're intimidating to someone to walk in and look at for the first time. But the little Yan, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's an appliance.
Yeah.
It looks like an appliance. You need a touchscreen on an appliance. Oh, someone's getting timed out. What's going on here?
I don't know what's going on. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
What is Teresa doing? Oh, Angel Mercedes is in. What's up, Angel?
How's it going?
Haven't seen him in a while. I can see him now.
What's going on here?
Oh, I see.
If that fixes everything. Oh, Teresa's abusing her power. I got some bad news, Teresa.
Jimmy.
Ewan just hanging there for 300 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's see why.
You're in timeout.
Let's go over the battle of the wrenches. Oh my God. Oh man.
Related to college and electronics. So what are you going to college for? Ham radio. They still make those?
Yeah, they do. That's one thing I always wish I had went ahead and got my ham license instead of just playing around and I used to talk on the CB on 38 lower.
Yeah, that's what my parents did too.
That was fun. Back I was right out of high school. I used to do that.
Yeah, we had a little base station in our kitchen. Right by our kitchen nook, there was a police scanner, and there was a little base station CB, and Dad had the big giant, like, it almost seemed like it was made out of cheap aluminum, the antenna from Radio Shack.
Yeah.
You bolted on the side of your house. Yeah. We almost went to ham radio, but I think it kind of wore off after a while. You know, just like all the little fads of the 70s. I think VCRs and TVs took over.
Yeah.
We used to listen to the radio when we were growing up too.
I had a Cobra 146 GTL, I believe it was. And it had the funnies on it, you know, a little switch on the side. That was a special one.
What was the switch for?
It took you into unregistered channels.
Oh, you mean like the dark areas of radio?
Yeah, the little channels in between.
Yeah, I grew up in the Midwest. I didn't even hear of all that. We just had, you know, you could go to Radio Shack and buy crystals and add them to the radio, and it would increase we could listen to, because we live right by O'Hare Airport. So we got the airport crystals, so you could hear the airport chatter. And Mom turned it off after a couple of days because it was constant. It was just like nonstop airplane chatter. Realizing we were by the second busiest airport in the world, maybe that was something to do with it. But yeah, we eventually had to take out the airplane ones. The only things we had left in them were the CB radio, the emergency band, and like the what do you call it? The fire and rescue. So we could listen to all the different, you know, the different basic public services. But it was cool because on the CB radio, the one we had, the one that Dad had rigged up, we could take off the shelf and put it in our van and travel with it too, because it had that car adapter, you know, which are real common now. But back then, that was like the coolest thing ever, that you could plug in a car adapter and stick it in a cigarette lighter and have the CB radio going right there. You didn't have to wire it into the dashboard like they do now. But yeah, we used to travel all the time with the CB radio and talk on the channel 12 or 13 or something, and
17, the truck driver channel.
Yeah, truck driver channel, because
So
Breaker 19 was the big one. The channel 19 was the general purpose channel, but you went down to 17 and it was all the long haul truckers talking to each other in that broken trucker speak.
I used to talk that too, and I almost forget how I used to do it.
We had to, there was actually a book that we had that had it was like a little handbook on what truckers were saying for CB lingo. And you'd look up, you know, what are they saying? What are they saying?
And then it's like, oh my God, that's what they said.
I don't think any of that stuff was in the books we were looking at, Jimmy. It was more just all the different codes that they used and what the little, you know, what was Smokey. You know, when I was a kid, Smokey was Smokey the Bear. He wasn't a cop.
Ewan's back, and he's got a wrench. Test.
That's true. Hey, Chris said before the internet we had CD. That was the original form of chat. That kind of was too, because you talk to your neighbors. Everybody had a CB radio because they were relatively cheap.
But with my radio, I used to be able to talk on people's toasters. That tells you right there what I do with mine.
Yeah.
Light up fluorescent tubes. I knew this one guy. I'm trying to remember what his handle was on the CB. I think it was Steam Man. And if any of you in Australia ever talked on CB or on the lower sidebands or upper sidebands, you guys probably have remembered that name. Because this guy used to join competitions. He had a van that had 2 generators set up in it. And he went with the tube style linear amplifiers. So he could take and key that thing up. Said you could stand 10 feet back from his van with fluorescent light tubes and he'd light them up in your hands. Nothing attached. I mean, this guy probably has died of cancer by now, I'm guessing, because of the radio waves he put out. But he used to go down to LA, down to the high desert, and they would key up and talk and see how far out they could be heard. And it was easy for him to reach Australia with no skip. Wow. Now, those of you who aren't familiar with radio, skip is during the solar activity, which is every 11 years, whenever they have the heightened solar activity, get the more sunspots and all that.
I think so, yeah.
I believe it's every 10 to 11 years. It comes in waves. And so as you get closer to that solar activity, when the sun pretty much has this big boom and kind of regenerates for the next 10 to 11 years, and there's more sunspot activity and stuff. It causes disturbance in the electrical field here on Earth, which makes it where you can hear places you normally can't hear. Like you can get on the CB and you would talk to people. In my case, I was talking to people in Svalbard. I was talking to people in India. I was talking to people in Australia, and it's all because of the disturbance with the sunspots. And it was really cool because you get in there like 5 o'clock in the evening and start talking. They call it shooting the skip. You can talk all over the place, and it was just a matter of waiting for like 5 or 10 minutes, and you're talking to somewhere new, to somebody completely new.
Yeah, we had that with the crystal radio too, with the walkie-talkie crystal radio system. I remember talking when I lived in Illinois, talking to somebody who lived in California, and then we had. We all got on the radio and we were talking to somebody who lived in Alaska at one point. So it was at night, and it was only during certain times of the year that was really strong. And we had that massive antenna on the house too. So, I mean, we picked up everything, but that was cool though. I mean, that was one of the cool things about, radio was that you could use it as a couple different ways. It wasn't just for listening to music. Do you remember Mr. Microphone? Yeah, Ronco presents Mr. Microphone. You can walk around and just kind of like walk over someone's signal because the thing was so strong. You'd stand into a car and start talking into their radio.
Well, my favorite was the Echo mics.
Oh, with all the reverb on them, yeah.
I finally got one, but toward the end of my here's the thing. I started talking on 38 lower, and on there was the Bravo Delta 600. That was the handle I had for talking on lower sideband. And then as time goes on, you get to experimenting a little bit more. Then you start going to channel 17. That's when you could become Big Red. And you meet with Devil Woman, And that became my good friend was Devil Woman, And then I met Down and Dirty, which turned out to be a pimp, but that's all right, The Champagne Lady, of course, I didn't realize she was a prostitute.
But you were talking to him on the radio, though.
Yeah, you become friends with all these people. You don't really know what they do in real life, but.
Right. Well, I mean, that's like the old urban legend of the guy talking on the internet, and you think it's like. Oh, you're talking to some dude, and it turns out to be some creepy old lady who just, is like sitting in the basement. She lives like 2 blocks away. She's like, I've been watching you for years.
And the art director says, what did I walk into? Oh, it gets better. So I met this gal on the radio. Her name was Blue Shadow. You know her more a lot better as Beth.
That's how you met Beth? Was on the radio?
Yeah, actually, I originally met Crystal, my stepdaughter. I originally was talking with her on the CB radio, and she's like, "Hey, you need to talk to this guy."
That's crazy.
Yeah, so we actually met talking on the radio. That's how we met.
And what year was this? 1920?
This was 95 when I met her, and then we got married in 96.
96.
Wow,
Yeah, we've been married for a long time. She robbed the cradle.
Jeff knows all about that shit, don't you?
Yeah, I know all about that. Heather's a bit younger than
Robert.
me. Yeah, Heather's a bit younger than me, but that's such a unique story. But even like 95, 96, we still had AOL, and there was still. But you guys met over the radio.
Yeah, and see, at that time, I didn't even have the internet. Back at that time, I didn't even get into the internet until after we were married. It was probably about 98 or so before I even started messing around with the internet.
It was real expensive back then.
It was, yeah, it was, and plus there wasn't a lot of solutions. There was like CompuServe.
Yeah.
You know, you could connect to AOL, CompuServe. There was a Motorola service in the Midwest you could connect with. Or if you were a student, you could have access to the student computers in the student network with an ID and a login. But that only got you onto like the bulletin boards and stuff. You really didn't have like, you know, what we're doing right now was like a pipe dream back then.
This right here, being able to talk back and forth. You're in Las Vegas, I'm in California, to be able to have a conversation or be able to watch YouTube, everything that was just a horror. Nobody could have even imagined it back at that time.
Well, it was the stuff of science fiction. I mean, even Dick Tracy, they predicted the watch with the camera in it, and I mean, we're well past that. But nobody wants the watch with the camera in it. But it's possible. I mean, the Apple Watch is like one step away from being that exact same thing. But it's not conventional to have a camera and a watch. So it's a cool idea in Dick Tracy, but like, you know, you're gonna walk around like, there, can you see what I'm looking at?
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, just in my lifetime, the advances that have happened. I mean, I remember when my parents bought their first cell phone, and it came in a bag and connected with a cigarette lighter in the pickup.
Yeah, you couldn't run it in the house. It had to be outside.
Yeah, and well, actually, they actually got the battery, and at that time it was a Panasonic battery pack. I kid you not, was this long, and it was the same one they used in cameras and stuff at that time, which was just a huge battery pack. And I think you could use it for like 2 hours without charging it.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I had one of those bag phones too. It came in a leather bag.
Yeah.
And, you know, the battery was 90% of it, and then they had this like really generic looking phone with the illuminated dial that looked like it was an old 70s phone that they just kind of ported onto this thing.
Yeah.
And then it had this massive antenna that I had to fold up, and then I could plug it in, and it would take a couple of minutes just to boot up.
Yeah.
And then you didn't get a dial tone.
Yeah.
Just, you know, just like they are now. There was no dial tone. You dialed a bunch of numbers, and then you hit enter, and you just waited.
Yeah, and you could buy them at Radio Shack for 1 penny. Remember?
Yes, I do remember that.
It sounds like you got the same exact one they got, because I kid you not, they had a deal on the window said that they're at Radio Shack, get a cell phone for 1 penny.
Yep.
So they walked in there, and it was what was his name? Sammy, I believe his name was. He's like, that's going to be 1 penny.
Yep.
Gave him 1 penny. I kid you not. My mom took it out of her purse, gave him 1 penny, and that was it. They walked out with a cell phone that day.
Yep. The reason why is because they weren't selling them. People didn't trust the technology, and they didn't know what to do with them. Plus, they didn't get them on consignment like a lot of stuff was back in that day. They actually had to purchase those things.
Yeah.
So they were like, we need to get these things off the shelf. They were not making any money on them. Nobody wants portable phone technology that's like a handbag. So
how much was it? I'm trying to remember how much it was for a minute back at that time. Was it 75 cents a minute, I believe?
It was pretty close to like 50. The phone that we had was 50 cents a minute.
because we had originally it was GTE MobileNet.
Yeah, ours was AT&T MobileNet.
Yeah,
because we were in the Midwest. So
yeah. It started with GTE MobileNet, and then it became GTE Wireless, and then Verizon bought them, and it became Verizon.
Yeah, they changed the name, but they had it was actually Illinois Bell, Alexander Graham Bell, Illinois Bell, and AT&T purchased them, and then it just became AT&T Bell, and then they dropped the Bell because they just like Sears and Roebuck, they killed Roebuck, so they didn't need his name anymore.
Right.
So they took him out of the equation, and it was an AT&T, but it was like $2 to connect, $2 or $3 to connect, and then 50 cents a minute after that.
That's right. That's what it was, the connection fee. That's right.
For every call you had to pay for every single call you made, and it didn't matter if it connected or not. You still got billed for it. So if nobody answered, you still had to pay the $2 because somebody had to take a button and go and do that part.
Yeah. And then when I met Beth was 95. That's when I got at that time I bought a Ford Thunderbird. It was a 95 Ford Thunderbird, and I got it when it was fairly new. It was a used one. I was on a used car lot, but I got it. And it was shortly after that is when I met Beth. In fact, I think it was the same weekend when I got that car. And shortly after that, I started going places with her. So I ended up going to Radio Shack and got one of those Motorola phones. I forget what the model was, but it wasn't the one that actually had the real thick flip. It was the one with the real thin, just a cover that went over the buttons. That was my first cell phone. And I actually went to Radio Shack and I bought the phone. I want to say I paid it was a pretty cheap deal. I want to say it was like a penny or something like that at that time. And I think that one was when they first did away with connection fee, but it was still like 75 cents a minute, I think.
So it was really expensive just because the first Motorola I had was, the StarTech. That's it. Yeah. The first one, I think it was an older StarTech, but mine had when you flipped it open, the flip was nothing. It was just like the speaker was in there. There was like a piece of plastic that you could look through to see the display where the buttons were. And the display was just an like an LCD display. It wasn't like what we have now. It was like a calculator display.
Yeah.
So, same thing that was on the pagers that we had, because I had the Motorola pager too.
Yeah, I ended up getting one of those a few years later.
Man, it was like $2.50 for someone to page me.
I'll never forget when they came out with the digital cell phones. Remember that was a big deal. They switched to digital, and it was crazy because all of a sudden they were charging you a flat fee, and the first minute coming in was free, and then it was like 30 cents a minute. I was like, wow, this is so much cheaper.
So when you were being paid, you were the persons that were calling you were being billed for using your phone.
Right. At that time, if they called you, they paid for it.
They paid for the call. If you dialed out, you paid. If someone called you, they paid you. But if you called from a landline to a cell through a digital phone, it was an extra charge on your phone bill for using the digital system.
Right. And then they came out with a thing shortly after that. If you called from cell phone to cell phone, you could talk for like 400 minutes for a set fee. It's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah, Sprint after 7 o'clock on Sprint, as long as you were calling another Sprint phone, you could talk till 5 a.m. in the morning for free. But during the day, it was $1 a minute.
Yeah, I'll never forget the very first digital was a Samsung. No, it wasn't Samsung. It was a Sony jog dial.
Oh, I remember.
It had a dial on the side of it that you could turn to flip through all your phone numbers, and then when you got to the phone number you wanted, you just clicked it, and then call that number. It was the coolest phone, and then they did away with that phone. Then they came out with the Qualcomm, because Qualcomm made it for Sony, and I remember getting the Qualcomm, and I love that thing so much, I think I went back and rebought that same phone for like 2 years straight.
I did that with one of the little Motorola's, one of the first ones that came out with the QWERTY keyboard on it. I love that phone so much, but I wore off the letters because I was using it all the time. And when it came to time to get a new one, I just bought the newest version of that same phone because it was just too cool. And they had, it was either that or I was going to get that or the Sidekick. Remember the Sidekick was the one that flipped out the keyboard from the bottom. But then I saw some kid using it, and I was like, that's what I'm going to look like? No, thanks. I'll just stick with my I'll stick with my big giant keyboard that looks like a scientific calculator, because the keys, there were so many keys on it, because it had the very first QWERTY keyboard that wasn't touchscreen. It was actually little tiny buttons that just covered the whole bottom of the phone, and it had that green screen on here, and it took really crappy pictures and still cost me money to call people.
Yeah. Yeah, I stuck with that jog dial situation for quite a few years, because that was, at the time, to me, that was the best feature on a cell phone, was the jog dial. And I've after that, I ended up getting a Motorola. I forget. You remember when they came out with the pink and the blue and the red and all these different color Motorola ones?
Yeah.
They're kind of a funny, rounded off looking.
And you could change the plates on them, and you could
take
all the covers off of them. And then Nokia stole that, and that became the Nokia brick. A little tiny, like they started. It was like they started getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and then they made fun of it in.
You remember the smallest one they ever had, which was like
it was like a matchbox. Yeah, it was like the size of a matchbox, and you opened it up, and you could barely get it to your ear and your mouth. It was Zoolander. Remember, they made fun of it in Zoolander. You had the tiny little phone. Hello, 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 hello.
And now look at us.
Yeah, we're going big again.
We went big again. And my very first touch phone was what was that? Was it an LG? Which one was the touch?
It was called the LG. It was the 250.
The LG Touch, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the LG Touch, and then they had the 250.
Yeah, that was my first touch phone, and then it was after I was when I upgraded from that phone was when I first got my first Samsung, and I've been with Samsung ever since. And that was I think that was just the Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy, and then
everybody loved that phone because it was like an iPhone, but it wasn't an iPhone.
Right. It was a whole different operating system. You know, it was Google and all that, and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then it's like, oh, look, I can put a memory card in. Oh, they can't do that on iPhone. You know, how many years are we since then? And they still can't put a memory card in that iPhone.
You still have to buy it with whatever you want. And now that new Samsung phone comes with a terabyte card.
Really?
Yeah, the new commercial, the one with the stylus. The terabyte card going into it. A Galaxy, the 12 or X or whatever they're calling it. That has a whole terabyte SD card slot in it.
Oh my goodness!
Terabyte on your phone.
That's insane.
See, I don't know
how much porn can fit on a terabyte.
The problem with having a phone with that much space on it, though, is then you take it for granted.
Right.
And you're going to come to the point where you're going to be like on a vacation, or you're seeing like Old Faithful, and it's going to be like full, and you're going to be like, "How's that possible?" Oh, I have 17 billion videos on here.
So, true story. Beth goes and we put forget what size memory card it was at the time, 64 gigabyte or megabyte memory card in one of her smartphones. And it was when the granddaughter was like really little. So she had all these pictures of her, right? Had her growing up, you know, from when she was first born to being 2 years old. One day her memory card gets corrupted.
Oh no.
She never had backed up any of the pictures. So I go and I get carbonite, you know, and I put carbonite on her phone, put carbonite on my phone, you know, that way we're protected. And what does carbonite do this year? They eliminated mobile devices from it.
Yeah. So you can't even use any of the Galaxy devices anymore.
Yeah. But now they jacked up the price even higher. And it's like, why are you jacking up the price and making it where now my cell phone pictures are not saved?
It's because it's the only solution that everybody's using, so they know it. So they're doubling the price on it. Just like Netflix is raising the price up to $14.99 or something like that for their.
Oh, hang man.
$4 or $5 increase they're talking about rolling out this year, and they said that they're going to lose probably 60% of their subscribers.
They'll lose me because I was bad enough on the last go around, but this time no, I'm not going to pay that much. No. I don't even watch it, to be honest with you. Beth's the only one that watches Netflix.
Well, we watch a little of both. I'd say we watch more of Hulu only because of the hours that we work and stuff. So it's easier to catch shows if we miss it. And I like Hulu because you have that $1 option to skip the commercials.
Yeah.
So you can pay an extra $1 a month to skip the commercials completely. And sometimes when we're watching shows, if we're binge watching, it'll skip the commercials entirely. We were watching Castle Rock last week, and it just skipped through all the commercials. It just gave us the whole show right off the bat. And we hadn't been watching it previous to that show or episode or anything. It just turned it on, watched our show, and they were like, commercial free tonight. So, you know, I don't know. Netflix is a good option, but Disney's about to release their streaming service, and they're taking everything they own off of Netflix.
Really?
Yes.
You know, that's what Discovery did.
Yes, because it was more economical for them to make money and not Netflix.
That's the reason why I upped my internet to the speed I've got now, is because it also came with 26 channels of TV service.
Smart
and
TV.
The thing is, I don't even watch cable TV at all. I just mainly got it so that I can get Discovery Go on my Roku.
Right. The service, you can do the internet TV instead. Yeah,
so I got to learn my management skills. You know, I gotta get my management skills going on. So I gotta watch something, you know, that gives me those skills. So I watch American Choppers.
Yeah, there's no better role model than the Tuttle family. I'm telling you. Yeah,
don't make me put my size 12 up your nut.
No, but that's the thing. Disney, when they launched their streaming service, you can say goodbye to anything on Netflix that has the Disney, Marvel, Pixar, everything's going. ABC, Freeform. I mean, they have their hands in a ton of stuff. So why would they leave it on a service that's going to be a competitor at that point? And Disney is all about the, you know, all about the money. Well, I better not say too much about Disney, but they want to make as much money because they've been seeing how popular the Marvel shows on Netflix were, you know, Daredevil and Punisher and all those other ones. They were popular enough to keep renewing them. So they're like, well, why aren't we getting more of that pie?
Right.
Same thing with Apple. Apple has started, they hired Nick Offerman and what's her name to start doing content on the Apple's new production system. Same with Amazon. Amazon's got high-end stuff coming out because they're all tired of Netflix getting the biggest piece of the pie. And that's why people are like, Netflix stinks. Netflix stinks.
Really decided to really take advantage of their streaming service, like they want to. They ever would really take advantage of it, they could really kill off Netflix.
Oh, they could.
But they are so inclined to want to charge for certain things rather than saying, okay, well, let's just go ahead and make our Amazon Prime $15 a month and go ahead and give some of this out. Instead, it's like, oh, you want to watch this season of that? Well, it's going to cost you this much. That's the one thing that will always hold Amazon back for taking over the streaming.
They are, because everything's an add-on. It's not just a base price to get all the services. If you want to add on this, it's like they have Amazon now has wardrobe, where you can have clothes shipped to you in a box in your size, and whatever stuff you want to keep, you keep that and pay for that, and you ship the rest of it back. Well, it's like another add-on service you have to pay for. It's not like something that you can just start doing.
Right.
It's like they have that Amazon merchant thing where you can do mediocre tasks for like 5 cents a task or whatever. And you had to take there was like a quiz. I was like curious about it. So I took their little quiz. I answered all their questions perfectly. It said, I'm sorry, we don't have any matches for your skill set. And I'm like, for what? What am I doing that I'm only going to be making a penny per thing? I mean, what is it? What are you guys doing over there, Amazon? And it turns out it's product transactions.
Yeah.
You log into the system and you know, when they do, like someone wants to buy something and it's not available from their regular store, you're the one that has to match it up with another retailer in their area to do Amazon fulfillment, which is basically like clicking through their system and finding the right Amazon fulfillment and matching it up with this particular zone, and then they can deliver that product. Which I'm like, well, why can't the computer do that? Why do you need humans for this? And you're only going to give me 5 cents per transaction? Oh, people are doing like 300 transactions an hour. I'm like, so? That's not. I'm not impressed. Computer do this. But yeah, Amazon with all their levels, if you look at their website, they have so many different tiers of things. but you have to pay for each one, and each one gets exponentially more expensive.
So how I do it saying it pays for Amazon Prime but can't use the streaming. I'm the same way. I don't use the streaming with Amazon.
No.
And Ewan says, I only use Amazon Prime for shipping. It took me a year to realize that as a student, I get Prime shipping for free. Yeah. And that's the cool thing about that's my main reason I have it. But the even coolest thing that I discovered it's probably been about 8 or 9 months ago. Whenever, I'll take it back. It's been a year ago because it was at the previous Amazon day that they had last year.
Yeah.
I ordered one of those Echo Dots. You know, the little round one. It's not the Alexa that's like this tall. It's the little short one.
Yeah, the little hockey puck.
And I got it sitting on my nightstand. You know for what pretty much my interaction with Alexa is? It goes like this. Alexa, bleep, set alarm for 6:30 a.m. I kid you not. That's it.
That's it?
6:30 in the morning, sets off the alarm. My next interaction is, Alexa, stop. Alexa, wake me up in 10 minutes.
So it's a very expensive alarm clock.
Yeah, but it works great.
So
unless your internet goes down, then you're in trouble.
I was just gonna say, so does the Sony one that I bought from Walgreens 35 years ago that the kids are still using and still works. Has a 9-volt battery backup in it, so if the power goes out, it still works.
I can sleep through my normal alarm clock. I can sleep through that thing all day long. But for some reason, Alexa will wake me up. I don't understand it. Maybe it's just a different sounding alarm to it. I don't know.
It's probably all the words you're not hearing before you actually hear her say "wake up," because she's probably saying shit to you like "get the hell out of bed, you lazy bastard."
She doesn't say anything. It just makes tones. It's just there's something about the alarm that it sets off is either louder or has a different sound to it, to where it's different from the regular alarm clock.
Well, they probably researched what tones would pull you out of sleep.
Probably.
Obviously. Yeah, so they have just the right sounds that would, be enacted so you could actually, instead of being startled awake by like music or a blaring alarm, they make these nice subtle tones that your brain perceives as possibly like someone touching you to slowly wake you up.
Alexa's like, hey, baby, come on, it's time to get up.
Yo, Jimmy, it's time to get up.
You know what? It's almost 9:30. We better get out of here. You got work in the morning, don't you?
Yeah, and the kids got to go to school, and we got to do a little bit of grocery shopping. But I got to start a little bit earlier now. So
buy some cat food.
Yeah, we got to go buy some cat food. That's exactly right.
What was that comment you made to me earlier?
What does it say?
That's code for let's buy weed or something like that.
No, that's what Chris was saying. That's what Chris was saying. I don't know anything about any of that stuff. Maybe that's what.
Yes, you do.
I think that's what the kids say, and they call it pot here. So
they call it pot.
The pot. It's pot. The pot shops.
Well, my friend, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Sorry, I had a bunch of little technical issues getting all logged in here, but we managed to get a stream that talked about almost absolutely nothing about 3D printing.
We did touch that with that 100-foot pole. I said we weren't going to touch, but we touched it.
Yeah. At least we didn't touch it inappropriately.
No, we tried not to.
Yes. I'm getting the look. I think we're done.
I ran a screwdriver right beside my fingernail today.
Jeez. With the big greasy screwdriver at work?
Yeah, it was.
Nice.
You can still see a little bit of it right there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, there you go. Just rub some dirt.
Let me show you even better.
Wait, I got one for you. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
This is like the drinking scene in Jaws when they're all comparing injuries.
So, by the way, I see you got the Goonies shirt on. Is this have anything to do with that concert I went to last night?
Yeah, that's why I grabbed it. It's like you were like talking about doing one thing, and then you're like, oh, are you guys available to stream? And then like 20 minutes later, you're like live streaming from a concert. I'm like, what the hell, man? Live the glamorous life, my friend.
That's Shoreline Amphitheater. Oh my God! Is that Cyndi Lauper? Yeah, then Rod Stewart came up, but then my cell phone died.
What was it? Some sort of 80s revival, 70s revival or something?
No, it's Rod Stewart and Cyndi Lauper on tour together.
Oh, crazy.
And so they just happened to be coming through. We found out about 3 weeks ago that they were going to be at Shoreline. So we went ahead and we went there, and it's like $30 to be out on the lawn. Sure, let's do it.
Oh, awesome. That's cool. It's like you're going to, but I just thought it was funny. It was like you're talking about one thing during the day, and then you were talking about the live stream and if we were available. And then 20 minutes later, you're live streaming from a concert at Shoreline Amphitheater.
I was hitting you up from sitting in the chair at Shoreline.
Okay, that makes sense now.
Are you available by any chance?
I thought you were eating a Grand Slam breakfast at Denny's, and you're like, wait, let's go to a concert.
No, here's what happened. So Calvin tells me earlier in the day, hey, I'm not going to be able to stream with you. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I didn't see that one coming a mile away. Right now, if he's watching, he's like, you son of a... So I knew he wasn't going to stream. I just knew it. I could have put money on this and I would have won. I knew he wasn't going to stream tonight. I just knew it. So I'm like, okay, no big surprise. You know, I'm like, okay, well, I'll either stream by on my own or I'll find somebody. I'm like, hey, Joel, would you be interested? Hey, I'd love to, but I got stuff going on. No worries, no problem. Hey, Jerry.
Like you could get Barnacules on a stream at night.
I want to stream with Jerry someday. I want to stream with him. I want to do like an interview with him. I want to interview my hero. Because quite honestly, that guy is one of the biggest reasons why I got into 3D printing. Whenever he did the slingshot video, when he did all
his stormtrooper costume.
Yep. Even before that, it's all the with his R1 and all the Ultimaker videos and all that they did.
Yeah, I watched all those too. I remember watching all those.
I mean, that's the main reason why I'm like, I need a 3D printer. I need one. And then I saw Chuck's videos, and I'm like, hey, Beth, look here. Look what he's making.
Look at all the cool things we can do with our 3D printer.
I can a 3D printer. Look, I can take and print this. I can print that. I haven't printed any of the stuff that I told her I was going to print.
I print about half. I'm getting told not even close to half.
It was fun.
I'm trying to find her a good printer she can put on her desk that she can print out stuff whenever she wants. Because, you know, the G-Max is just such a beast. I mean, when you want to print out a little, like, Pikachu or something, it would come out better and easier for her to print out on the Yan or something like that. Yeah. I mean, I could print out a giant Pikachu for you, but not that she wants a Pikachu. But
put that black stripe on the tail that the internet says doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
The one that all of us remember, but it's not there no more.
That's not there no more.
We'll talk about that on another stream. What do they call it? The Mandela effect?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
People now don't remember the stuff that we remember.
Yeah, they just remember it differently.
Like Kit Kat doesn't have a dash between Kit and Kat.
Exactly. Yeah, the things
that you remember it too, right?
Yeah, I remember it because that was like the thing. It was on a T-shirt that way too. I had a Kit Kat T-shirt growing up.
And then you're going back and it's like, where's the picture? Where did it go?
Yeah, it's not there anymore. It's like, you know, somebody came into the house in the middle of the night and removed the dashes from all the T-shirts. Because we all remember there was a dash there.
In the movie where they said, what was it? If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. Field of Dreams.
If you build it, he will come.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and life is like a box of chocolates. Now it's life was like a box of chocolates.
Yeah. because everybody wants to hear what they want to hear. Or as we get older, we just forget things, which
I think so.
I think that's our
the
brain
Fruit Loops one still bothers me though. I know it wasn't, and Looney Tunes, I know it was not spelled that way.
with the double O.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Looney Tunes, right? Looney.
Look it up on the internet. I am not even joking. I'm not even joking. Look it up. I'll wait.
I'm going.
It's going to blow your mind.
It's Looney.
See?
Yeah. It's still Looney Tunes.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Because I watched the thing a while back. They said they'd change the spelling of it.
Oh, I see what you're looking at. Okay. Yeah, here's the Mandela Effect. MandelaEffect.com for anybody who's still in the chat. Dude, I see. Yeah, so it's like cartoons. So it's
It's the tunes part. Yeah,
the tunes part. Okay.
That's what it was.
So if anybody wants to go down the rabbit hole, it's MandelaEffect.com. I'll see you in about 6 days.
And you'll be coming out with your aluminum hats on.
Or tunes. They did change it. I think they changed it. I think they changed it.
Did you see the Kit Kat one?
I'm going there now to look for all the other ones. What do you remember? Yeah, here's Forrest Gump.
I remember the Dash.
Jif or Jiffy peanut butter? Wait, isn't there two of those though? There's a Jif and a Jiffy.
It used to be Jiffy. At least I thought it was. Oh yeah, Jet and Jif is spelled different.
Yeah, okay, this is gonna drive me crazy.
I know. It's like I probably had to quit looking at that stuff because it's like, oh my goodness, I don't even want to look at it no more.
Well, it's like it's all based on just like the statement in a movie, but everybody said that Nelson Mandela died in prison, and he didn't. He was released. I remember it.
Okay, so who's the star of Shazam?
The Shazam.
Yeah, the movie Shazam.
I can't remember.
Keep looking. You'll on that website. You're going to see that. It blows people's minds every single time.
Shazam.
There was one. Was it Shazam? Or there was one of them where it's supposed to be Sinbad. Okay.
Yes.
And everybody's like, yes, Sinbad was in that movie. No, he wasn't in the movie.
Was it Shaq? No. All right, well, this is going to drive me nuts. Great. Now I'm going down this rabbit hole.
Check this out. Check this out. We're going to watch him have a nervous breakdown right here.
I don't have any hair to pull out. Bernstein or Bernstein Bears? No, you know what? I'm closing this window. That's enough.
Dude, that one was the one about my brother. My brother, when he read that, he's like, no, that is not right. Tom, my brother, just went completely nuts when he saw that. He says, now all the rest of this, okay, whatever. No, that's wrong.
You're messing with something that's sacred. Those are the Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, if you really go through that, it's like half of it's like, okay, whatever, you're right. And then there's a couple things that's like, no, that's not right.
No, that's not how I remember it, so it can't be right.
Yeah. Oh, damn memories.
I know, right?
Guys, thank you very much for joining. Sure appreciate you joining us live. Jeff, I cannot thank you enough. I appreciate it, my friend.
Oh, no problem, Jimmy. Thank you guys for joining us on our crazy little journey here. And maybe if Calvin's not around next week, I can join you again, or maybe we can get Terry to finally come out of his hole and join you for a live stream.
Everybody, go on to Twitter.
Yeah, go on Twitter.
What's the hashtag we should use? Get back on the show.
Let's say. Oh, I can't even think of something. I'm thinking about that stupid Mandela effect. brain's lost in that. I'm going to be down that rabbit hole at lunchtime tomorrow.
He won't sleep tonight. He'll be on the internet the whole night.
No.
Oh my God.
I'll be up on Netflix and YouTube trying to find video clips of all the things they talk about. I'm like, no way.
Okay, so there's another website. I don't remember the name of it, but there's another website where you can actually go and see Google searches, and you'll see a change between one spelling and another spelling. You'll see a definite, it was spelled this way, and then all of a sudden it changed. My brother showed me that one, and he was flipping out over it.
Yeah,
And,
see, that would be like going to what is that? Snoops,
yeah,
Snoops.com, and reading over some of the stuff in there and following all the links of all their proof of how they say things aren't real or things are, you know, urban legends or something. You could spend a lifetime clicking around on those sites.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll pass on that. As Angel was asking if they sent the 3D pen parts, no, they have not yet, or they're coming from Russia, so it'll be weeks.
Ooh.
I got a 3D pen kit, and it was missing the essential bag of parts on the live stream I did like a couple of weeks back, and the guy's like, yeah, we'll send them out again, but I'm not expecting it for at least a month.
You got a pin from Russia?
A pen.
Is this some kind of collusion thing going on? I'm joking.
Remember, the NSA is always watching, Jimmy. You don't know how, you know, you have 8.2K subscribers. One of those is the NSA.
I guarantee more than that's probably the NSA. I'd probably be lucky if I even get on that plane.
They check you at the airport gate and be like, no.
This guy deals with 3D printing. We can't let him on here.
He could have a 3D printed weapon of some sort.
Double cavity search on this one.
All right, well, I got to wipe my hands off after that, so.
You guys have a good one. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you guys.